Here we are once again. Welcome. We're here to listen to God and to let Him speak to us so that the benefits of His creation can be made manifest in our lives and that we bring glory to Him. Now, He's the one who created us. He created us to be like Him, His image and likeness. And He blessed us, He empowered us to be able to fulfill the task. We've been deceived and we have lost our ability, not lost it permanently, but it's hidden from us because we have not fully grasped the meaning, the understanding of all that He's done for us. He speaks to us and tells us many things, basically founded upon His creation, what He's done for us. And if we only hear, listen, and begin to live and fulfill that task He's given to us, it causes our lives to be much greater. And it also changes the world around us. Last week, we talked about being the light of the world. And I know that most of us cannot see ourselves as being the light of the world. But yet, with all that God has done for us, He has made us an example. He has made us a witness to His greatness. And in so doing, if we live it out, we become a guide, a light to the whole world because they see in us that which God has done for us. And it should speak to us that we are very thankful to what God has done for us, that we want others to also see and know and experience the greatness of what God has done for us. Sad to say, most of us don't understand the greatness that God has given to us, and we don't live it out. We don't really understand it, and we can't comprehend how it can be. But yet, God said it, and if He says it, that's enough. That's all we need to understand. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, it says, "You are the salt of the earth." Now, last week, we are the light of the world. Now, here in Matthew 5, it says, "You are the salt of the earth." The salt of the earth. Now, perhaps, unless you're a cook, you don't understand the full value of salt. You don't recognize the fact that most foods have to have a little bit of salt in them in order to bring out the flavor. Because the salt, if you're a cook, the salt will cause the flavor of what you're preparing to be brought forth and made more vivid and more tasty. Without salt, it's kind of blah, not much to it. And this is why God has said to us, "You are the salt of the earth." But if the salt has become tasteless, how will it be made salt again? It is good for nothing anymore except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. We have this ability given to us by God, salt. We can bring flavor to the world. We can make the world, instead of a place of bitterness, anger, strife, it can be that which can be with ability, flavor, something that is good. In Mark, it also says salt is good. But if the salt becomes unsalty, what will make it salty again? Have salt in yourselves and be at peace with one another. This is salt. Now let's put it into a format that we can maybe grasp a little more clearly. Salt, that which brings flavor, our words, our lives, being lived out in a manner wherein instead of causing problems, we are the solutions to problems. When a person perhaps has a problem with us, rather than arguing or defending ourselves, the speech, the words we use to answer that problem should be words that bring peace. Instead of defending ourselves, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether we're right or wrong. What matters is the way we present ourselves to others. Rather than causing problems, we bring peace. We bring joy. We bring understanding. So that the problems, the arguments, the battles, the fights don't go on any further. Yes, someone may attack us verbally, and we can, in our own minds, defend ourselves and attack back, putting them down. That's not salt. When someone attacks us, rather than attacking them back, our words, our attitude is one of peace, of hope. Rather than defending ourselves, we speak with that which solves the problem rather than magnifying it, causing it to be difficulty. That's what salt is all about. Instead of being defensive, argumentative, speaking it with peace, with hope, with joy. It's not one that is not one that is defend. We find ourselves being defensive in. We forget, and we cause there to be all kinds of difficulty. When in reality, we have within us that ability. Someone calls us a name or says something evil about us, and our normal reaction is one of defense, saying it's not true, you're lying. But instead of that, if we are the salt, instead of defending ourselves, we will speak words that calm the situation rather than cause it to be elevated. It's a matter of letting our pride maybe die down, be set aside, and speaking only that which can cause peace. It doesn't matter whether we win or whether we lose, doesn't matter. The attitude that comes from us should be one that solves the problem. One that, if they say, you lied to me, instead of trying to defend ourselves, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That was not my purpose. I apologize. The humility that causes the battle, the friction to cease, rather than that which will elevate it to a higher level of conflict. That's salt. Salt brings something good out of that which is blah, plain. And it depends upon the words that we speak, things that we can bring forth. In Luke it says, therefore salt is good. But if even salt has become tasteless, with what will it be seasoned? The seasoning at that point is the seasoning which is of anger, bitterness, unrest. Whereas when salt is there, it brings out something that is very good if you're a cook. and you're cooking something that's basically very plain vegetables. You put a little salt in it and it brings forth something that makes it taste much different, much better. Instead of being blah, it's enjoyable. And this is who we are. We are salt. And the words that we use, the situations that we bring forth, are that which cause there to be peace and cause life to be filled with good things. When a person is difficulty, sad, or having problems, when we speak of that which calms the situation, which brings forth out of the situation something that can be enjoyable, something that can bring forth that which makes life more beautiful. Instead of argumentative, it's that which brings forth joy, peace, understanding. It's a matter of discipline, control, and not wanting to defend ourselves, but wanting to bring peace to a situation. This is salt. You put salt on a piece of meat. Perhaps that meat would be blah without the salt. But the salt brings something out. It makes it taste good, makes it enjoyable, brings peace. That's who we are. It's what we're supposed to be. Instead of argumentative, instead of defensive, bringing that in words that can cause there to be peace among us and enjoyment. When you are around people who are constantly speaking things which are enjoyable, peaceful, you feel at ease, you feel comfortable. Some people speak constantly argumentative statements, things that are irritable, things that are frustrating. Those people you don't like to be around. You don't like to be in conversation with them if you can avoid it. Sometimes you have to, but you speak not in the same mode, but you speak peace. You speak hope. You speak enjoyment. You look for those things which are peaceable. You look for those words that can bring hope and silence instead of argumentative. You see that this is what we are to be. We are to bring that into the world with us, not defending ourselves, not arguing, not attacking others, but speaking words that bring hope. A change of words can do many things. We can bring forth those words that calm the situations. In Luke it says it is useless for the salt or for the manure pile. It is thrown out, and he who has ears to hear, let him hear. In other words, those words that cause difficulty, cause frustrations, cause argumentative situations, those things are not meant for us. Those are meant for the manure pile or for the soil. But for us, the words are kind words, words that are filled with hope, with peace, with assurance. That's what it means when it says you are the salt of the earth. Instead of causing frustration, anger, anxiety, bitterness, hatred, you speak words that bring forth peace. Even though it may mean that you are humble in so doing, you don't defend yourself. But the most important thing is bringing that peace, that enjoyment into life. And people then will enjoy being around you rather than not wanting to be around you. Some people find the evil in everything, and you don't enjoy getting into a conversation because you don't know what's going to happen. But when one is one that speaks words that bring peace, hope, joy, those are people that you want to be around. You don't mind them around because they bring peace to the situation rather than frustration, anxiety. In Colossians, it says, let your speech always be with grace, seasoned as it were with salt, so that you may know how you should respond to each person. Order one's behavior to keep from corruption. You speak words that bring peace. You see something and you are perhaps warned by it, what you see, what you hear. But instead of letting that control you, you speak into the situation, that which brings calmness, peace. You give ability for there to be a possibility that things aren't quite the way that they seem to come out. You speak words that bring understanding. When someone speaks in a way of attacking or putting you down, you don't respond in the same way. Instead, you come back with that which will bring forth peace, understanding, and cut off the situation immediately so that it doesn't go any further than where it is and what it's going to be. This is what God gives to us. Speaks peace in the midst of frustration, the problem, the anxiety. When a person is facing something very difficult, rather than coming in and irritating that situation, you come into the situation with words of comfort and peace. I'm sorry for your situation. I wish I could change this. I don't want this to go any further. It's not worth it. The peace, the joy are much more comfortable to us. When a person is constantly irritable, there has to be some physical effect upon their whole life. When you can speak into that and calm the situation, it might look like someone has done something evil, but instead of augmenting it, instead of adding to it, you simply speak the opposite. Speak the peace. Give them a chance. Don't really put them down. Maybe they're having a bad day, and we are here to bring hope to them. Hey, can I do something to help? Can we see that there's something good in this instead of that which tears us down and pulls us apart? This is what it means to say you are the salt of the earth. The words that you speak, even your actions, the looks you have, instead of them being smiling, joyful, be bitter and angry. And it causes then the situation to turn not for good, but perhaps for bad. This is the situation that it speaks of in the scripture. We are to bring peace and hope. God brings peace to us. We make mistakes. What does He do? He forgives. He restores. He rebuilds. He shows His compassion, His love, His mercy. Those are elements of life that we have, that we can use. Or else we can see the opposite side, the bitterness, the frustration, the attacks. Those don't help. But when we set those aside and instead we speak words that bring peace and hope and takes away the frictions, the lack of ability, the salt of the earth. In Ephesians it says, let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, that it may give grace to those who hear. We have that ability. The words that we speak either bring frustration or anxiety. We live in a world where people defend themselves, attack others, put others down, and they cause frustrations, frictions, bitterness, and it even comes sometimes to a point of even destroying one another physically because of words. Words are very powerful, and yet at the same time we can take away their power by having the right attitude that God has given to us, the hope that is ours, that which will bring hope to others, grace to others, giving them those things that hope. When people face a situation, difficulty, it's frustrating them, causing anxiety. When you speak to them, the ability, come on, you're greater than this, you're bigger than this, you can handle this. This is not something that'll tear you down. You have such character and hope. You can conquer this. So it's a matter of speaking words that bring ability to overcome the situations, to find hope, provision in whatever might come our way. And that's what God speaks to us, that we should have in our minds. But do not let immorality or impurity or greed be named among you, as is proper among saints. And there must be no filthiness and silly talk or coarse jesting, which is not fitting, but rather giving of thanks. Sometimes we say things about people, maybe in a jesting mood, but it sets an attitude or it plants a seed that is not good. And so those things need to be set aside. We may say that we are jesting. We are just playing around. But sometimes those things cause things to get pretty nasty, difficult, and cause problems. So where our task is to bring peace in everything that we do, to bring hope. Peter says, but even if you suffer for the sake of righteousness, you are blessed. And do not fear their intimidation, and know not be troubled, and not be troubled. Not be troubled. Don't let it trouble you. Set it aside. It's not worth it. Maybe they were having a difficult time. Sometimes people are not feeling well. Sometimes things are not well in their family or other situations and causes them to be negative in their thinking. Here's a time when you can be the salt and change that. To speak things that will build up and lift up. Not agreeing with the situation as it is, but speaking that which brings hope, provision, brings life. We are sanctified Christ as Lord of your hearts, and being ready to make a defense to anyone who asks you to give an account for hope, for that is your yet with gentleness and reverence. When someone will ask you a question, can you speak? Can you bring forth that which is positive, hopeful, rather than negative? Maybe you're facing a difficult time, but rather than speaking forth that, you speak forth, well, it's temporary, it'll go away, because I won't let it pull me down. I'm going to bring a victory through all of this, whether it's in my life or others' life. It's speaking that which makes things look more bright, more pleasant, more easy to get along with. Salt. Remember that. The next time you sit down to eat and you put a little salt on your food, remember, that's supposed to also be the words you speak, the thoughts you have, those things that you care for about others, that you want their life to be a life that is blessed, brought forth in hope, provision. Instead of attacking, instead of putting down, you find a word, you find a reason, you find something that will bring hope, bring life, and bring peace, bring joy. That's who we are. That's what God has intended us to be. God speaks to us with that life, that hope. He always has something to lift us up. And He does not let us fall down. We should care for others in such a way that we hold forth that life that God has given to us. And we bring the peace that comes in knowing Him and knowing His provision for us. So remember that, salt. You are the salt of the earth. You are the salt of the earth. And you have that ability to change those situations, to cause them to be flavorful, that which brings forth good taste instead of bad, bitter anger. Bring forth life, peace, and joy. Remember, you have that ability. Watch your words. Discipline yourself. Control and bring forth life. That's what God has given us to do. So I challenge us to speak those words that bring peace and unity and love. Be blessed in that and let that life come forth in your life. Amen.